Woman, eh? Eh. Woman, eh? Asalo una mauma demo. Asalo una mauma dem for all over the world. Asalo una. For whichever place una dey wanna dey watch this MyTake live. Whether una dey na for America, or una dey for Africa, or una dey for Europe, or una dey for Asia. For whichever place una dey watch this video. Asalo una welcome for MyTake live. Yes, today we will talk about the secret to a happy marriage. And this whole time I don't talk about the secret to happy marriage, but today I focus on communication, like communication, to the importance of communication in our relationship. The importance of communication in our relationship goes a long way, because as a good communicator, you can make or break a relationship by you just talking. Sorry, I'm trying to set up my Facebook here so that I can look at your comments. So, just a quick housekeeping before we start. If you are online right now, please share the video so that others can join us with this live. Today we'll talk about the importance of communication in a relationship. Why I talk about the importance of communication in relationships, because your communication style can make or break your relationship. The way you talk with people around you could make the people want to listen more to you, or could make the people don't want to listen to you, or they might not even want to do anything with you because of the way you talk, because of what you say, because of how you act. Remember, communication is not just about the things that come out from your mouth. Now also about your body language, how you look, how you pose yourself before you talk. All those things, they matter, and they matter a lot. So today I want to talk about that, communication. So anyone way there online, just a quick reminder, MyTake live is interactive. So feel free for ask your questions. Feel free for type in your comments in the comment section below. And I go, as always, I read to all your questions, I read to all your comments, and then I can add on and I can talk about that particular point. So if anything the way when I want to say my address them while they talk the live, take time for type out for the comment section below, and then I will talk about the thing specifically. And also I want for you what to be on own take about communication. What you feel about communication. And when I mean what you feel like, what to be a good communicator and who be a bad communicator. What is the difference between a good communicator and a bad communicator? Now, one of the first things that way I want more address them in the very first beginning. So, who is a good communicator and who is a bad communicator, and what's the difference between the two, and what impact does it have in our life? In fact, that one a question way it be very broad, but I want to just explain me first of all. Just give me a little bit example of the difference between a good communicator and a bad communicator, so that if we talk about them. So anyone we're doing on live right now, please welcome to MyTake live. I'm so happy you are online. It's gonna be a 1 hour live. We are talking today about the importance of a good communication. The power of communication is very, 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 very high. In fact, it is the key to a relationship. So I want to talk about communication. And I know, so when I talk about it, and people be like, I don't hear about this good communication thing too much. Yes, when I probably don't hear about them too much. But the truth is, if it wasn't important, everybody know what to talk about them. So communication plays a great role in our relationship. That's why I want us to talk about it. And me, I go bring them down for all normal, common way we will go understand them better. Now, why we are to do my own take about communication. So again, now interactive process. Please share the video so that others feed join we for the live. That's the way I want more do. I don't want try for going for my distance, so I feel to read when I questions them and when I comments them as I did their life. So yes, when I talk about communication, wait to be a good communicator. We need to know that one because sorry, I'm having a little hitch here, but let me fix it real quick. Okay, I have it now. So now I can see your comments. So sorry about that. So first, communication. Wait to be communication. Communication is simply waiting the way we would talk with people them around we. Just as simple like that. For a simple definition, the way we would talk with people them around we. That be communication. And how would it send out that message and receive that message? Because communication gets two things. It gets sending of the message and receiving a feedback. So you talk and you get a feedback from way to way you talk, right? There is many types of communication. You get the verbal, the one where come off your mouth talk, and you get the one where your body talk and where you not talk. Everybody where you talk with, may will know for head. You know the only listen way to where you talk. It is listen what you're saying and what your body is saying. So we have to pay attention to our body language as well as the things and way we talk. Now be the importance for communication. So now the first part that I want to know about communication. Now I talk about communication in terms of a relationship. It could be a relationship with your spouse, your children, your in-laws, and even sometimes at work. Those things that hinder us a lot. Where I want more focus today for this communication, because there's so many, communication is a broad subject, but today I want more just narrow and down to a relationship with our spouse and our children, and how we manage our home in that aspect. That's what I want us to talk about. Our home means our spouse, our children, and the people living around us. That is what I want us to talk about today. And why I talk about them? Because it makes a huge difference. Somebody where you know for talk with people go get a lot of friends. One, somebody where you know for talk with people go to misunderstand them lesser and lesser. Somebody where you know for talk with people go to get good feedback now wait the result. Because why would it talk? Would it talk because we want to pass along a message? We want to pass along that message. It could be a message on our emotion, how would it feel? It could be a message for something where we need them from somebody. It could be a message from an education. You want to teach somebody how to do something. There are so many reasons why we communicate. I'm just naming these few for which to be the important reason I talk about, especially in relationship. We get for watch out with how we talk with our spouses and our partners and our children, because it makes a huge difference. And it comes for this thing because we tend for sometimes just throw our words there and we feel say the other person don't understand we. No. Remember, you and your spouse will now grow up for two different cultural settings. Even if we are there for the same village, we now get two different home bringing, and any house gets a way where they communicate. I want more know that one. So you not expect for just throw away there and expect that person for just understand you exactly like way to where you be intend for talking. Now why I want more talking today. Why are they talk so? Because a lot of time the relationship that they be broken primary. Not only because people feel say the major thing for a relationship and just say, I know they cheat my woman, I they give them money. No. A lot of time the relationship they be broken just because there is lack of communication. There is too much misunderstanding between one and two. The information they need to be crossed along correctly where that other person feel understand them and get the real sense of it. Now the more reason that will get problem in relationship. So now why they address them today? Now I want to give my own points. Any man we do online, by the way, thank you also much for joining, but I really want me to participate if you fit for what you want to think about communication in a relationship. So now I want to talk say with you. When we don't join with two, or when you're in a relationship with somebody, I want say we put them for the back of our mind. First of all, when we talk with them, we'll get this in the back of our mind, say, this person be raised up with a different communication style. This person raised up with a different vocabulary. Because the communication style, the vocabulary makes a huge difference in terms of translating the words where you go talk for you, in terms of analyzing which way you talk for you. And this person also come up from a way where they get a different way where they joke. So when we get those things there in our mind, when we talk with somebody, it makes us for be mindful on how we talk to them. How we talk to them in sense of communication style. And when I talk about style, I need to talk about the language. We all also get different languages. But most of the time then, we could get a common language where we feel easily understand them when we're there in a relationship or as a house, right? But the styles then feel be different. And when I talk about style, I talk about being loud or quiet, being, do much action or no action. For example, we Africans, we talk with too much of jest and action, body language. We use a lot of body language. Why some other cultures, they know they use body language. They talk to you calm. Whether they are angry or not, their tone is calm. But because their tone is calm does not mean they are not angry. That's what I'm talking about. Us, we can be loud, but because our tone is loud doesn't mean we are angry as well. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, somebody don't write for this, say for a good communication there have to be mutual respect, and that is where I'm diving with my thing. There have to be mutual respect. So when I talk about when you talk with somebody, like somebody don't put down for this, say one of the important things for a good communication is mutual respect in communication. That's where I'm diving to. Mutual respect. So when you talk with somebody, you want for understand their tone, their style of communication, so that your information where you go pass over to them go be understanding. And why you take time for know that person? Because you respect their own way of communicating. That is one. You acknowledge their way of communicating. That is one. The other important part will be very important for you for know their way of communication. I say waiting. When you know somebody's style, you will feel easily understand where the person they come from. You will feel easily understand when the person talk to you, what they mean. So when we not know somebody's style, when we not take time for understand, we partners them their style, we partners them the way where they grow up with the words, the way they use, and which way what means for them. If we go about and talk, and they no go ever understand we, or they go think differently. So if we feel so don't cross along a message, meanwhile the words the one we use are not be common words for them, or it gets a different meaning from them, then the message we want pass along no go pass along, and then very soon we go vex say they not they listen to us, meanwhile they not they understand us rather. So now one thing that we'll get for pay attention. The second thing I say waiting, when you talk with somebody, you forget that mutual respect where you miss say waiting. In regards of the person, the age of the person, of how angry you did or how the person look, your words have to be positive. Your words have to be respectful to their being. You have to be respecting them as another human. You don't just talk low to people because they are younger, because they look funny, or because they're in other race. No. Communication is to pass an information. Is to pass an information. That is why you're talking to them. So when you're talking to somebody, you should have a focus, a topic at hand where you want crossover. And your thing where you did for your head, where you get for put and say, I need that information to pass over. That is what should be your focus. Don't worry about them not being able to understand you or understand you. And what if they are not understanding you? Sorry, when I say don't worry about, if they are not understanding you, then you need to break down your tone again. You need to break down the vocabulary. Remember, it's to pass a message. If you are talking to somebody and the person not understand you, change the vocabulary. Break it down. Use terms and words and way they be easier for that person for understand you. Now the thing that what they talk about. Use words and way that person will feel understand you and understand you correctly without putting or adding words in that sentence. That is what I'm talking about when I talk about make sure that your message is crossed about. Another thing will be very important for communication. I say waiting, my sisters and brothers. Communication is between two people. Between two people, where me say waiting. When you are talking to somebody, give that person time to talk to you. It is two ways, not one way. These two-way thing will get for pay attention. You forget time where you did talk and you forget time where you did listen. You cannot just blah, 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 non-stop. Because then, what will happen? You shut down the person. If not somebody where you not even wants for start to tell you, or when they talk, stop. Some people, when they tell you stop, or they try for talk and you keep interrupting them. They try to talk, you keep interrupting them. They will just pause and just walk away. And then you have no communication. Remember, it's two people. What are you vexed like how when you pass across your message, you get to pause, may that person give you a feedback before you continue your talk. Why that one be important? Because if that person not give you a feedback, you don't know whether they get what you said to them in the first place, whether they understand you in the first place, or whether they even want or explanation for what to happen. Because sometimes you feel the talk now because you be angry on something. Yes, you are angry. Tell them what you are angry and stay on your point, and then wait for them to reply before you continue for talk. That one shows that you respect them enough for give them time to talk. Now you what to talk about. Now another one another important part for communication, my sisters and my brothers, your choice of words. Your choice of words always get for be positive. If you want a positive feedback, you need to use a positive word. It is like that. Whether you are drunk or you are high or you are as angry as hell, let the things that come out from your mouth be positive. If you want a positive feedback, I don't know how I can say it. If you want a positive feedback, you must use positive words. Those curses where we feel say when we get angry, it is a leeway to just open your mouth and let words come out without you thinking through it. You want to be careful. Because remember, everything that comes out is registered by your listeners. Everything that comes out is registered by your listeners. That is one. And two, you don't just want to say things because you just feel like you have to say them because you are mad. Because remember, if you are talking to your spouse or if you're talking to your children, they remain your children, they remain your spouse. So when you use word on them, you still have to live tomorrow with them, the next tomorrow with them, the next tomorrow with them, the next tomorrow with them. And the worst part of words the most important part why we're supposed to make sure, say, we word them be positive no matter how angry we are, is like the Bible says, I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Wait till we translate. If you say God punished them to them, God will punish them. Do you remember that? If you curse them with a word, there will be that word you curse them. Put that in the back of your mind. They are still your family. They are still your lovers. They are still your children. They are still your husband. So if you are talking to them, remember that. You don't want to let words that are cursed out of this your mouth to them, regardless of how angry, sad, mad, whatever, what time and space you are in your life, that word coming up from them should still be positive. We can pass in our message. We can pass through our message without cursing. Actually, as I talk so, I remember listening to a video from Reverend TJ, where it was a TD Jakes, where he talks say, only a person with few words, only a person who have a few word curses, only a person who have a few words use the 4-letter words. And that is so true. Because if you get enough vocabulary in your box, if you are knowledgeable enough on what you want to talk about, if you take time to process that thing before you talk about, you will definitely find the right word to fit in, to express that feeling of yours without you cursing that person. And when you take time for find that right word before you say it, even in your anger, even in your bitter time, even in your, whether it's drunkenness or high time, wherever time you day, you can still cross it out that message. You can still pass through that message without using an improper language, without using a language that will belittle you, first of all, without using a language that will send a message that you don't even have enough vocabulary in your box. Because every time you curse, you don't have a vocabulary. Just so more I know. Every time is because if you have the right words, you wouldn't use words that are not necessary for that to express that feeling of yours. You can express your feeling without using those words. Express them the right way. I am hurt. I don't like this. I don't like that. This makes me feel this way. Use the right words. You don't have to, because so many times we move from the subject at hand and we find ourselves, instead of fixing the problem or addressing the problem that we have with that person, we find ourselves creating a problem just because of the words and what we use. And sometimes we create problem to our family that is not just short-term problem, a long-term problem, because we use the wrong word to them. And most of the time, we have to go back and pray for it, for forgiveness, for stuff like that, for things that were not called for. So I just want to say, words are powerful. Words are very, very powerful. You can make or break even a nation with just a word. Talk less about a family. You want to talk to somebody, be mindful with the words you use. Because again, you can think Anything you want, it is your space, it is your environment. Your mind is your space, is your environment, that nobody can tap into it until you voice it out. But once you voice it out, it is no more your environment. It is for everybody to access and for everybody to make use of the word the way they please to. Therefore, when you want to move the word out there, you want to make sure, say, even if anybody want to access that word, they will access it and get as close to the point where we want to make them as possible, without hurting anybody's feeling, without hurting anybody's mind, without belittling anybody, without putting a curse to somebody, without pausing somebody's destination with just your own words. So I want more pay attention to that. That one thing we'll talk. So anybody where they're online right now, but they talk about importance of communication. There's so many other things, but I want just to focus on those particular ones. Now, when I come live on on Wednesday like this, and I get just 1 hour, so I'll be going and I'll read your comments as they come on. So please, if you have any comments at any time, don't forget for type and down for the comment section below, and I will talk about them. So now, I want to talk more address about how, because now we know say communication be very important for our relationship with our spouse, with our children, with our co-workers, with our anybody who we can encounter in our life. Communication be very important. Now, what we fit do for make this communication may be good? What can we do to empower us to make us good communicators? That's what I want us to address. So anybody where you're online right now, give us your tips. What you do to help you be a better communicator. Because I know we all sometimes fall prey with words, and we all sometimes not words, sometimes our body gesture, our body non-verbal communication is taking place. You know, sometimes like us women, somebody go to talk for you. You know the talk, they look left, look right, they fire your nails, they do your thing, and you know they talk, but they talk. Voice not they come out, but only the eye way they pick them up and down. They talk a lot more than the voice where you don't talk. I think if I ask anybody where they on the line, say, what did this mean? And what did this I mean? They will know already what that one mean. They will know already that big sign of ignoring. We will know already what we mean. So our non-verbal talk. So now I want more talk about how can we help. What will be some secrets, and we'll get them out there. We'll get them for storage bank for help with for be a good communicator. I want anyone with you online may type something about that, and then we will talk about them. Okay, somebody don't put a comment more. Somebody don't put a comment, I read and they will talk about that. Say, some of the things to make you a good communicator is listen more, talk less, might be a good recipe, although it is sometimes difficult to obey. That is so true. Thank you for that comment. Yes, listening and talk less is very important. Although, yes, I know myself, sometimes I fall prey to that. Although it is hard to maintain, it is hard to keep quiet, it is hard to not talk. Yes, but sometimes you get for listen. Ma give example. A good example now, like say, your spouse do something where it worry you. Your spouse do something where you not like him. You vex. You go tell you that thing. This one I wait will do sometimes. You go hear some of us will do now. You go join me tapping. Know that way. You do so. You talk. You make your skin. You You blah 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 blah. You talk, explaining all what you don't hear, all two you don't hear. You just talk. Sometimes you talk for 5 minutes, you never pause. How you want, make that person explain you the reason for their action. If you not pause. That is where this listening come about, very important. Yes. Remember, you go talk for something where it worry you. Remember first. And so if something they worry you, now even a more opportunity for be a good listener at that time. Because when you are a good listener at that time, it goes a long way. Why? You have a problem. Something is bugging you. You need an explanation. Therefore, you go tell the person what exactly. That's why I always say when you want to talk, have a topic. Seriously, when you want to talk, have a topic. It's very important. Go with your topic to that person. Say it as you feel it, exactly as you feel it, and why you feel the way you feel. Then you stop. Give that person, now you stop to listen. Give that person time to explain. Give that person time to explain, because a lot of times we women, then we are prey to that. Man, be sorry, but it's true. Women, we are fond of that. When we are angry, we talk. Sometimes when you talk, the person won't even try to talk, say, but I didn't. No, not bad me. You just interrupt the person. No, not bad me. That's how you always say. That's what you always do. That's what you always do. I am tired of this. I am this. Before you know it, bam. That person will be tired. And they lock the door on you and they go. Therefore, you don't even get your answer. So the best way for do in a scenario, especially if you get something that worries you, that troubles you, you say the thing, exactly what is the thing that is troubling you, one. Secondly, how you feel, you say it, and then you stop. You give that person time to talk. When the person explains, and then they stop, because remember, don't talk when they are talking. When they explain and then they stop, it gives you room now for ask them more questions. When you talk and you don't listen, you cannot ask more questions. And when you don't ask more questions, your answers will not be clear enough. When they explain themselves and you stop, and when they are stopped talking, you give you time now for reason, and then you will say, okay, but what about this or what about that? Then you can add on to that. And then once you stop and let them talk, it becomes a two-person communication. But once you just talk, it becomes a one-person communication. And then let me be honest with you, then there have been no communication. Because when you talk and you don't give that person time to talk, you haven't talked. You haven't had a communication. You haven't had a conversation. You just talk, but you haven't had a conversation because you're still angry. Your problem has not been solved. It's waste of time, literally. That's where I talk about in that aspect of listening. My read another person own talks. So another person talks, say, have ground rules. Agree to the tone and commitment. No. Agree to the tone and containment in communication. I like this. Have a ground rule. Agree to a tone and containment in the communication. I like this. I like this one very well. This tone issue is a very important thing where couples that get them a lot. Because that tone on comes a lot with upbringing. It comes a lot with upbringing. If you grow up in a house where people then be loud on their way of talking, you go end up get that loud tone. Your volume go be loud when you do talk. That is one. And then also, there are some other people who grow up in a way where they grow up, unfortunately, in their house, they curse a lot. They will also use cursing language in their talk. But this is where I like in marriage, in couples, is that what? Una fit set una boundaries. Yes, una fit set una boundaries. When you deal with that person where you get that loud tone and where you be a quieter person, no vex. easily what you do is, when you notice that person be loud, you tell that person in a calmer way. Not even when you are having a discussion, because when you're having a discussion, it's hard to talk to that person. After that, when you realize that the person is always loud, after your disagreement, you talk to that person, say, you know what, when I get a discussion, I really appreciate if you want to talk to me, don't raise your voice. Don't shout at me. Just talk to me. I will understand you better versus when you raise your voice on me. And most of the time then, if not somebody with a problem with raising of the voice, not a tone issue, they will immediately explain to you that I am sorry, it's just my tone. It's just sometimes when I want to talk, I feel like I have to emphasize, because some people feel like if they want to make a point, they have to raise the tone of that point at that time. They have to raise their voice so that may you get their point. Meanwhile, it not necessarily means that you need to raise your voice for somebody to get your point, right? So once we get that agreement in our house, na a culture that we get for maintenance. And remember, every culture be difficult at the beginning. So many times you get to remind that person, every time we hear a tone go up, you say you're shouting again. It's okay. If you are in the middle of communication with that person and they start shouting, it is normal for you to just say, darling, you're shouting again. Please, can you lower it? Or if you don't lower it, I will go. It's okay to leave also, because that is how you train that person for get civil conversation. It's also, instead for when I go to a shouting mode for something will not be called for, you just simply telling you're shouting. Please, do you want us to talk or you want us to talk later? If you want us to talk, you use the normal tone. If they don't want to use the normal tone, you can as well leave. When I mean leave, don't mean go. You can say, okay, then I'm not having this conversation. You train people. It's doable. It's trained. And when the people start being used to say, okay, every time I use this tone, you be a reminder. And let person, and a person will be understanding, no go vex. Because you go no say, now something where we no one get into a fight. Sometimes I always say couples, and sometimes you say like, are you making this a problem? It's okay to tell somebody, is this going to be a problem or is this normal? Get the conversation, be honest, call a spade a spade. And once we start do that, we develop that. And also the choice of words. Anytime somebody use, I know somebody say, don't use adjective on me. Yeah. You know how sometimes you want to talk to somebody, say, don't be silly. That's selfish. Okay, to you, it's normal, right? But to that person, some people don't like to be used adjective on. When you use that, don't be silly. You might be saying it as if you're joking, but that person don't like to be called silly. That adjective silly that you used at that time wasn't actually insulting that person, but it was just like you saying it for the way they are talking. But to that person, that is a curse. So you want to watch out with those words. And that is why I say again, if you never watch my video communication tool, the secret to having married communication, I go watch them. You get to learn your spouse a way of communicating. We get to know each other their ways, and then we get to work with each other for make a maybe better, so that one person need to be hurt all the time, so that we easily get a communication. Because sometimes a lot of couples, they need to get communication. They shout at each other and then not actually solve or resolve the issue where they start for talk in the first place, just because in the course of talking they end up shouting at each other and then they stop, and nothing happened after that. The problem remained the same. Nobody changed, nobody do anything, because they never come to an agreement. Because A was shouting, B was shouting, and so there was never an agreement. And before you know it, these people start drifting apart, because there's always unresolved issues. Always unresolved issues. This could be minute issues where if they be just fit talk, therefore fit resolve them without any problem and move on with their life. Because there's so much to do in your life versus you just be fighting every day. So now the thing that I will talk about this communication. And people, especially new wedded people people who just get new in a relationship, new wedded people, they fight a lot because of this particular communication style issue. people always misunderstand. You always misunderstand the other person. So when una become as a couple, like this person talk for you, una get for set out some rules in una house. And those rules then una get for take into consideration both parties, their communication style, both parties way they not like, especially what people then way they be sensitive to. Una get for pay attention to those things. Once una pay attention to those things, una fit come out with a ground rule. Somebody will say no swearing in my house. Somebody will say no use of this word. Some family in the way, in my house there's many words that is no use, for example. And not only because for me and my husband, but also when I get picking them, a lot of words in the way there should be no in your house. There should be no because the kids pick it up that you don't want them to pick up. People who you don't want them to pick up words, pick up words. So we want to be very careful with the words the word user. And I really like this fact they say Mona get the ground rule because it goes a long way. Traditions are made at a home. And this communication should be part of your tradition in your house. If you make that style, you have a style that you put, a platform that you make, a level of communication that you have in your house, una go see and say una go start the fight lesser and lesser and lesser. That I know. I read another comment where somebody put and I say another good thing for communication. I say waiting. Learn sometimes to agree to disagree. I like that one. Learn sometimes to agree to disagree. Me and my husband do that a lot. That learn to agree to disagree. Yes. Why I like that? Because remember again, two imperfect people come together in marriage. That's what marriage is. Two imperfect people come together in marriage. And so una all get una flaws. Una all get habits and when una grow up with them. Una also all get una own mindset. Una be two adults, so una already get a mind of una own. Una already get a way of thinking and a way of reasoning of una own. So una not expect for see things at the same light. Una not expect for do things at the same light. Although una dey try for work am, but most of the time them, not most of the time, some of the time them, una no go see the same light on everything. So something where you feel like it is a must, or something where you feel like it's really this should be done this way, that person feel totally see the opposite. So sometimes instead for una for keep fighting back and forth on something where una no so una no go agree on, simply when una talk to you say okay, like me for house that's okay, well okay, more talk so you don't win, even though I not believe, I not buy your idea. Yes, that's your point of view. You are allowed to have your point of view, but this is how I see it. And so when I agree to disagree, when I acknowledge each other a point, but yet letting the other person know that that is your viewpoint, I have my own viewpoint, and I'm okay with that. And then when I move on from the subject. Because not all things then we will agree on. Not be all things. And so instead for the drag the conversation go too long, you end up just saying, well, I get your point. Just I wanted you to also get my point and the other person to say yes, when I move on. So that's how you do it. So it'd be very important for we for know those things. My other thing I want to talk about is non-verbal communication. Because a lot of time then we feel like if we not talk, it'd be okay. Actually, the non-verbal communication why I want to talk not be just for you for no, and MyTake and back not the non-verbal, it's not just the no word. I mean like less communication as well as no word. So what I mean, I say somebody feel the way it do you, if somebody feel hurt you, we'll get people then like that in marriage, in their couple way, they distort things too much. That's what I'm talking about. They store us. People where you do something, but they won't voice it out. You will see in them, in their non-verbal way, that something is wrong. But they will not tell you. They will just keep it. You ask what's going on, they won't say. They will just keep it. What do you do with that kind of a person? How do you manage those people? How do you make that person to talk? because you can't make them to talk. But how do you fix a problem when one person is not willing to talk? That's my point. That's what I want us to talk about. So this is my take. For those people where they keep things, where they need the green talk, express their feelings, I feel that at certain points of your life, at certain time, you need to talk. You just have to. I feel like you just have to in a relationship, especially with your spouse. You just have to. This is somebody that you'll be living the rest of your life with. I mean, you get so much more life to live with this person. So why ingest it? Why keep those things the way that it hurts you? Because one of the problems we'll get in relationship now, say, one person need to voice out their opinion. One person need to voice out their feelings. And so if you need to voice out your feeling, how do you intend that person to know what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and to even change if it's something that you expect them to change? You don't expect somebody to change when the person doesn't see the need for, right? You might be having non-verbal communication, like your mood in the house is changed. They want to talk to you, you don't want to talk to somebody. When people are in the parlor, you're in the room, you isolate yourself. All these behaviors, and when they show somebody, say you vex, but yet you need to talk. So this is a problem for me, though. I'd rather somebody talk to me than somebody don't talk to me, because you don't give that person opportunity to change when you don't talk. Yes, I know say sometimes, and some people they say, I don't see this particular behavior so many times where I feel like worthless, useless to talk about, right? So they know to talk about. So me, I will tell you now, say, if not a behavior where you don't see I'm too much and you feel like it's useless to talk about, and yet you are still living with that person, then don't use non-verbal communication on it, then forget about it. I'm sorry, then forget about it. If you don't want to talk about a behavior because you feel like it's redundant, I say it, they still do it, I say it, they still do it, I say this, then literally don't make it something that you'll be fussy over it. Don't make a fuss over it, just let it be. Because you don't want to talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, let it be. Don't spoil the mood. Don't spoil the day. Don't make any fuss about it. Let it just be. Let it go. If you don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it. That is better versus you not talking about it and you being moody and if somebody wants to talk to you, how are you? I'm fine. Or sometimes you don't even talk. They say, how are you? Just and walk away. What that is even creating more problem than the problem you're trying to. It's either you are in or out. That's what I say. If you are in something, you need to continue working on it. If you are out, you are out. Because even if when you don't talk and you are acting up, it is the same as it's worse than you talking. So it's either you are in or out. You don't want it. You want to let that behavior go because you're sick and tired of talking of that behavior. It is okay. Then don't make fuss over the behavior. That's what I'm saying. That's my point on that. Another thing is, if maybe you see something and sometimes you don't want to talk about it because you don't yet have the word, or you're still finding the right way to put the information, because sometimes I do that. When you have a thing and you're still trying to figure out how to put it so that it is not misunderstood, how to put the word so that the person can get the exact way to where you think about that. Sometimes you'll be lost in your own thought and the person will notice that there's a problem, but you will not talk about it because you want to make sure that you find the right word to say it so that the message is passed along correctly. If you are in that state and the person notices, because most of the time we humans, we are able to pick out something, especially couples, to pick out some when their partner is not happy. We are easily, especially women. I don't know about men, but we women, me I sound like this, I can pick it in a second. If the spongy around you is different, they are behaving different, you will know. So if you are in that stage where you are still, something is troubling you, you don't want to talk about it now because either you are not ready for talking at that point, or you haven't found the right word, or whatever the scenario is. If that person asks you what is it, it is okay to tell that person nicely, yes, I am worried, but I don't want to talk about it now. Say that so that that person stop bugging you. Because at the end of the day, what happens when you don't talk to that person and you are living in the same space, remember it's your spouse, you're living in the same space, the person will be worried, so they will keep asking you the question, and sometimes in them pushing too much to want to know what happened, you burst, and when you burst, then the wrong words comes out in so many different directions because you were not prepared for talk that time. So then you will not get also the result you wanted. So it be okay for tell that person, say, you know what, yes, I am troubled, but I don't want to talk about it right now. Can we talk about it later? So that person would be. And if the person will ask you again, you just said, I said later, I will talk to you. When I'm ready, I will talk. So the person now, all simple wait till that person, the next person is supposed to do now, say, wait till, okay, I'll be here when you are ready. And then you wanna move on from that. I wanna continue on a day. That is what people should be doing. We have to make such that it is easy for people to access us, and it is also easy for people to understand us. In a family, we want to be accessible and we want to be understood. Because again, we don't want our life to be solving problems. We want to be solving and moving forward. You have a break, you have a pause, you resolve it, and you move forward. You also want communication because you want to teach something new. And when you are teaching, you want that person to actually understand you so that they will learn, give them an environment to learn what you're trying to pass across. So that is what I want us to think about communication. If we don't pay attention to communication for real, we can break a relationship very easy. Very easy. A lot of time when I see couples that they fight, not be actually because of the real an incident. Yes, the incident is the primary reason where the discussion start about. Yes. But most of the time, would it exacerbate the problem? Would it put on gas to the problem with our words? So the problem can just move from A, and before you know it, it's on Z because of the words we use, because of our tone, because of our style, because of our non-verbal way, our non-verbal communication. It takes something where not supposed to be problem from this and bring them to a problem. So we want to be very careful when we talk with people. Another thing where I really want to emphasize on communication, I say, wait, my sisters and my brothers, remember, when you are talking with somebody, that person is another human being. That person have feelings. That person have emotions. Be mindful with the words you use, because words can make or break a relationship. Just a word without even the action. So we want to be mindful with how we talk and what words we use. Even if we are angry or not, even if we are right, we have 100% right to be angry, we still want to watch out with our words we would use. I've been listening to somebody who say sometimes when you're really angry, one way to help you not to use words that are not necessary is to try to write down why you are angry before you tell that person. Seriously, I tried once, it helped. Try to write down why you are angry for. So let me say this is bugging me and I'm really angry, because when I use angry, because that is a time we most of the time use the wrong words, is when we are angry. Because when we are happy, most of the time we use the right words. But when we are angry, we use the wrong word most of the time. So sometimes they say, write it down. So do like you're writing that person a letter in your own space without the person knowing. And let me tell you, if you are writing, write. If you want to curse all the curse in the writing, because they make sure the person doesn't see it. But I mean, what I'm saying is, you write down the thing as you get mad, you know. So what you're doing, you're venting before you even talk to that person. So you vent already as you write. By the time you want to talk to that person, you are a little more calmer. And then also, one thing that it helps to write is because when you write, you know you have to read before you submit, right? Before you give it. So when you're done writing, you read it. Take note of what you write when you're angry. You will be surprised of that. When you read it, there's so much jargon versus really the thing that you want to express yourself with. So once you're reading it, you'll feel like, well, I can't even understand what I write. Does it make sense? I mean, that's not what I mean. That's what you'll be saying to your own writing. And by the time, that is the way you work on your speech. That's the way you work on your communication style. And by the time you read your own thing, you find yourself, you tear it out. And then you say, but I want my message to pass across. So it's a good way to practice to help you not to use improper language when you want to talk to somebody. And that will help you also. And even not only when you're angry, let's say that you want to talk, like you have an important message where you want to talk about with somebody, where you want specifically say, may they not misunderstand you. Another good way for me can I say, write them down. Try for write them down. Whether not by typing it by a text to yourself, you try for write them down, you read them before you send them. So you will see and say, most of the time then you'll get for write them like 2-3 times before you come out with the right word. And so when you make it a habit to do that, you write your thoughts before you go, and you read your thought before you see if it's okay to talk to somebody. That's a good way to practice of using the right word. That's one way. Another way is just be mindful to the response of the person you're talking to. That's another way I learn. I'll give an example. It's another way I learn. So for example, if let's say I'm with my spouse at home, I know he doesn't like adjective, for example. Sometimes for me, I will use adjective. I used to use them before, like a way to say how I did. Like for me was a way to describe the way I see your behavior. So for example, if you do something that I feel is selfish, I'll be like, that's selfish of you. But then the person, that's because I learned, I do that way because that was my communication style. But I come to realize that the other person, when you use the word, that's selfish of you, they literally feel like you don't insult them, so they be selfish. And so they get angry. So then your communication will be passed through because of that adjective way you use them for describe. And then I would spend my time with the person, no, I don't mean yourself. I'm just saying that particular action is selfish. You know, then you define time for talk this, for talk that. But now I can realize and say, you don't have to use that. You could find a different way to go about that, explaining that behavior. So what I do now is, instead of saying that you are selfish, sometimes I will just say that thing you do, this and this and this, makes me feel this way. So now when I I express my feeling about that thing, we understand better versus when I use that particular word, because I was just using one word and then it goes, you can interpret selfishness to so many different ways, but I wasn't meaning that real way. So that another way for improve on your communication, now for you for learn your spouse a way of talking and a way of thinking about words. So yes, una go fight for the beginning, una go get misunderstanding. But the way una get for solve the misunderstanding, I say una get for learn each other your own style. When una learn each other your own style, it makes it easier for una for talk. So now when you want just talk, you know, say this person not like you for use adjective, then you will find different words to use to describe how you feel on what they did without you using that adjective. That's so way I mean. Another way too for communication, I say wait, some people then they not like me somebody use another person like an example when they talk to them. So I'll give an example. You know how you come for house, might just talk say like somebody do something where you know like and right, and then you see the behavior. Rather than for you to say, you talk about the person say no, what I think, what I do is correct. And then you say the other person will go about and say, what do you mean by it's correct? Every woman knows that this thing has to be like that. You know, some people, when they like to talk, they generalize, they use general words to people. Like some people will say, but every woman knows that this should be done that way. Every woman should know how to cook. Every woman should know that the house thing is a woman's. You know that general talk. Some people don't like to be generalized. When you are talking to somebody, people like to be talked to themselves. Address them as a person, not generalizing. Because some people, they find it very offensive that you're comparing them with other people. And so when you are talking with your spouse, those are some styles, some things that you guys need to work on so that we're not going to be misunderstood. If you know that this other person doesn't understand it or doesn't like this thing, don't put in your information using those ways. There are many ways to pass along your message without using those particular ways. Like somebody says again, the more vocabulary you have in your bank also helps you. So if you want to express yourself and you don't know how to express yourself, take time, pause, write it down, find the right word, even if it means that look it up, find the right word to express that feeling so that you will be understand and not be misunderstood instead. Sorry. Sorry, I'm choking on my own spit. Sorry about that. I'm choking on my own spit. So that's what I mean. We need to really make sure that we communicate, that we pass along our message without creating a fuss over it, without making the other person feel unworthy, without making the other person feeling stupid, without cursing the other person. We can communicate effectively without all those things involved in our communication. It is hard. Sometimes when we are angry, it is hard. Or sometimes when we are overexcited, it is hard. But we get to remember, a communication is passing along a message. And the message, once the word is out, it cannot be taken back. So you want to be careful with your words before you say them, so that you can achieve the aim of your communication. Without you using the right word and knowing the right tone and using the right communication style, no matter how good you thought about somebody, it might end up be perceived as bad, and you end up not achieving the purpose of your communication. So thank you all so much for joining today. When I come Wednesday, just 1 hour to elaborate on something. If you never watch my video, I have a video that says The Secret to Happy Marriage part 3. That was focused on communication. So remember, I have another one coming up this Saturday. MyTake have a new video every Saturday. Every Saturday. So, and you can find my videos on Facebook, on my page, MyTake by Gina F. You can also find my videos in YouTube, on YouTube. All you need to do in YouTube, type MyTake by Gina F and type a title. You'll see my videos in there. Please, I really appreciate you sharing my videos, commenting. Let me know what you feel when you watch my video. It goes a long way. It helped me. I read all my comments. I read all my comments. I read it, people. I read it. And I take it into heart. I know the worry what are the words what are a negative feedback or a positive feedback. I want a feedback, because any feedback helps me grow, be negative or being positive, just not violent language. Now all that one I want. And so una like, una share, una subscribe, una have a great day. Again, a new video will be out on Saturday, this coming Saturday. The title of that video is The Secret to Happy Marriage Part 4. It's hot. The title is Don't Let the Heat Cool Down. Very good title. Don't let the heat cool down. So that's the video I'm working on this week. So it's coming out on Saturday. If not, have a great week. Thank you all for joining. Please share. I will be live back on Monday, 9:30 Central Time. I love Una. God bless Una. Bye.